So good evening, everyone. Today we have with us a person who needs no introduction, one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the country, and founder and CEO of Zerodha. He's been a great disruptor, a huge disruptor in this country, making it easier for everyone across the country to come and invest in the markets, to participate in India's growth story and create wealth. And that has led to significant changes. I mean, if you see the demat accounts in the country, in the last 2 years from 4 crore to 10.5 crores now. Retail investors are the backbone of Indian markets now, even though FPI is pull out, they stand behind. So we'll talk about his, we also have with us Samir Sisodia, who's heading the foundation, the Rainmatter Foundation, which is backed by Zerodha. So we'll talk about Samir's, about Nithin's path, and but the failure behind his success. First, we'll like touch that. He's been an immensely successful entrepreneur. So if I may ask you, Nithin, Zerodha is hugely successful, but over the path, when you founded it and when you progressed on it, and now at the stage that it is, can you talk to us about the failures that you had, something that you really wanted to do that you couldn't do, and if you can touch upon that.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me here. So I don't know why I'm here, by the way. So I have more questions and answers about some of these things. But yeah, about business, I think I had most of my failures, thankfully, before Zerodha. I started trading the markets and becoming a sub-broker, doing portfolio advisory. So I'd done 10, 12 years, I think 12 years, went into building a career around the stock markets. Zerodha only started in 2010. So all my, I keep wondering when this whole roller coaster called life, right? As in, I've seen a lot of downs and ups before, but generally the last 4 or 5 years have been like a trending up. So I keep, we keep talking about it in the office. When is the next the down move in the roller coaster? So, so the learnings from before. See, I think a lot of people who are building businesses or wanting to build business, when they come ask me, Nithin, what is the reason for the business has done well? One is we've been extremely lucky. We were at right place, right time so many times. But more importantly, also I think I ended up trying to build a business around my core competencies, right? And I keep saying this, you need to kind of sharpen your axe before you go chop wood, right? So and I didn't plan for it; it was accidental. So because I think ended up building a business around some core competencies, the odds of luck hitting you increased significantly, right? And building a business, is like growing a forest. It takes a long time. So this is something every time we meet. Someone who, like any scientist type. My question usually is there a way to quickly grow a forest? Is there a way money can solve for the problem, right? And there isn't. There is no quick way to do this. And business is also like that. It takes a lot of time and effort and a lot of luck to kind of everything to come together. And but generally. The experience, I think the biggest takeaway from my life, when I look back is that I got lucky maybe because I ended up doing business around something that I love to do.
So you said you started out as an investor. Now you provide a platform to all the investors. Were you yourself a successful investor?
Yeah. I mean, so the way Zerodha, we get credited, Zerodha gets credited quite a bit for building a bootstrap business. So we haven't raised any external capital. And the reason was because when we started the business, the money was really funded by our profits from before. So, like my dad was a bank manager, so it's not like we came from wealth or something like that. So, so we had done well between 2005 to 2010. We used that seed kind of money as a seed capital to start a business. And in 2011-12, the first 1-2 years of the business, Nikhil, my younger brother. So what happened was when he started the business, the plan was that I go and give a shot at building a better broker. and my younger brother continues trading. And if I'm not able to do my job well, I'll get back to trading again. I mean, that was really the backup plan. And yeah, so that's really how Zerodha started. And the first 1-2 years of the business was funded by Nikhil's trading profits. Like, he was at the back end, investing in trading. And that's how we could remain bootstrapped the first 1-2 years. But that's it. Your question, I kind of can understand what you're kind of hinting at, which is very few people, trade, invest in the markets and make money. And that's
so that's what. So did you make money there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you aspire to become a Rakesh Jhunjhunwala?
So the thing is, at some point, I realized that Nikhil, my younger brother, is a better trader than I am, right? So, and it didn't make sense for both of us to sit and trade. And so the plan was he continues trading because he's more skilled than I am in terms of trading. And I even before Zerodha, right, from early 2000, I was into this building communities of sorts. I had the biggest Yahoo Messenger group in India on stock markets. Then Orkut started. I had the biggest Orkut community. So I had this whole, almost like this love to share capital market knowledge without any expectation. It was not like, there was any monetization angle to it. And it was just you used to write your blog because you like blogging, so, and not really that, someone's going to like, share, and things like that, So I think I personally was more inclined towards, building a broking business, and Nikhil continued trading. So Nikhil has gone ahead and started a hedge fund. So today, it's called True Beacon. And so he took that, maybe the Rakesh Jhunjhunwala path, and I took the, but we work together, So it's just that as brothers, it's very important that we demarcate our territories, and we don't get into, like trying to do what each other does. So I stopped trading once Zerodha started, and Nikhil does only trading.
So, but does it still rub on somewhere that you were not you didn't succeed that well?
See, the thing is, okay, so about trading, right? I think a lot of people mistake trading to trading stocks, right? Trading is, trading your time and effort where you got the best rewards on your time and effort, right? Trading, it could be trading stocks. If you're good at trading stocks, you trade stocks. If you're good at singing, you go sing. If you're good at building a broking business, you go build broking business. So, when someone asks me, Nithin, how does it feel not trading? I say, Zerodha is my biggest trade of my life, right? Because, I'm really putting my time, effort, sweat, blood, everything into this. So I think trading isn't, this is something that I keep trying to explain to everyone, that trading isn't trading stocks, The only thing, the reason I think people get enticed to trading stocks is because it's very easy to trade stocks. You can open an account in like 2 minutes and you can put money in it in 5 minutes and then you can start trading. The only easy thing about trading is opening a trading account and nothing else.
Right. What is it still that you think you have not been able to, say, achieve? Something that you regret, or something that you aspire to achieve?
So when we started the business, we were very active traders. We were trying to solve the problem that, active traders need a platform with low cost and where the platform's transparent. Then it became about, we need to educate people. So we started Varsity, which is probably one of the largest education initiatives on capital markets in the world. Then it became about platforms. So, we need to offer better products and tools and utilities so customers can do better. And then, we said, not everything we can do ourselves, so we need to, collaborate and, maybe find ways to enable other people to build platforms. So Rainmatter FinTech started, which is our incubator. But then, there's a question we've been asking over the last 2-3 years that, we've done very well as a business, but what do we really exist for today, right? And the answer is that, I think we need to be around because our customers should be able to do better with their money just because we exist, right? And if we are not able to do it, there's not even a point of us existing, right? And that is really a very complex problem to solve, which is how do you help people do better with their money, right? Because everyone's influenced by their fear, their greed, their biases, and their different biases. So yeah, it's a tough problem. I had thought for a long time that education and good platforms will help it. But after 6-7 years of doing it, I've realized it's not. I think good platforms and education isn't enough for people to do better with their money. And so, that's really the problem that we are trying to solve for over the last 1, 2, 3 years. I think one hope has been for us is we've launched this platform called Nudge, which is like a user experience layer on top of trading app. Think of it, I'll give you an example. Say a person who's making $1,000 a month of salary is trying to buy a 5,000 rupees phone on Amazon, right? What would Amazon do, right? As in, if you don't have the money, they'll say, borrow money from me and take the phone. But it's not a right sale, right? Because a guy who earns $1,000 a month shouldn't be buying a $5,000 phone because it's not right for him financially. Can Amazon nudge the customer and nudge that person and say, dude, you should not be buying this. What are you smoking? Go buy a $1,000 phone or $500 phone, right? As in, right? Can we do that is a question, and that's something that we are attempting as a business, right?
That is where I wanted to come in, because you provide the platform where a lot of youngsters are coming and investing, and especially taking the options and derivatives routes. Yeah. So we have seen numerous examples where they have even lost money, especially over the last 2 years when the markets were rising, people were taking all kinds of bets. Now, while you provide the platform, you have lowered the entry barrier for anybody and everybody to come and enter and invest. How do you safeguard there when people come?
I get it. Yeah. So the thing is, I think one of the qualms over the last 2-3 years has been is this whole rise of the influencer and the rise of setting wrong expectations out there. This whole setting expectation that you can somehow make quick, easy money from the stock markets, which is absolutely bullshit. There is no quick, easy money to be made in the stock markets. It's probably the hardest place in the world to make easy money. So and that expectation. Once the problem is when someone enters the market with the wrong expectation, all his decisions are gonna be based on that. And if you come with the expectation that you can make 100% return on a year, all your trades will be wanting to get 100% return, which means you're gonna take more risk. You will trade more speculatively and all of that, right? But if people come to the markets with the right expectations, it's the chance of the person doing well with the money also increases. And this is something that we have constantly tried, even with the Nudge platform. The first nudge that we introduced was this penny stock nudge, right? Because a lot of first-timers think a stock at 5 rupees is cheaper than a stock at 500 rupees, right? Which is absolutely wrong, right? A value of a stock is based on the underlying asset, right? So what we did is that, today when you go on Kite, our trading app, and you try to buy a penny stock, we kind of scare the shit out of the customer saying, dude, what are you doing? What is, do you even know this stock company doesn't exist? Now, it is not paternalistic, right? In the sense, we don't disallow a guy from taking the trade because, that's not our job, right? But we are doing a business of alerting him, saying, this is a penny stock. Do you even at least know this? And our penny stock trading volumes are down 70%, from the time we introduced this nudge. Now coming to futures and options, these are leveraged trades, right? And like you rightly said, if people don't trade it well, the consequences are not that great. And that's one of the reasons why we have constantly gone out there and set the expectation. And I don't know how many times I've publicly said less than 1% of our customers make more than fixed deposit returns. People who trade, speculatively, trading futures and options, etc. The idea being, you set the expectations right, then people come to the business for the right reasons. A lot of people ask me, dude, why would you do it as a broker? Because you will lose business, right? But I will lose business if you think about it in a quarter-on-quarter context. I'd rather make 100 rupees from a customer over 20 years than make 2,000 rupees in 1 month, right? But the problem, I think, in the industry or in the capitalistic world is everyone's working quarter-on-quarter targets, right? So everyone will do what is right for the quarter. The decision-making framework is like that, right? As in, I need to get to my quarterly goals, if whatever it takes. And then you kind of, when you optimize for what is right for the short term, it's usually not right for the long term. And today as Zerodha, I think we have the freedom to not think short term and think long term because we don't have investors. There is no revenue target. There is no growth target. So we're consciously trying hard, but I think, I don't know. I mean, if you were to ask me, have we done a good job at it? Maybe not. There is still a lot to do here. And until now, we've taken a stance that we are a platform. We don't care what happens. But over the last 1-2 years, we have said that your moral. You have an obligation to the customer. You cannot just kind of say that I don't care what the customer does. So this is something that we've been working on, and every single thing that we are building as a business over the last 2 years is with this objective saying we need to help people do better with the money.
And is this something that is that you see within the industry, your peers, and is the thought process there, or are you taking the lead in that?
No, I mean, see, the thing is, see, all my peers, right? Either there are paid CEOs, right, or there are founders who have, probably hold 5-10% stake in the business. They cannot take this stance. They're not in a position to take this stance because, if you're a CEO, if you don't perform well for the next 2 quarters, he's going to lose his job. No one's going to ask, dude, what your decision's going to work out in the next 5-10 years or not, right? So similarly, if you're, if you're someone who diluted a lot of capital, you've raised, so you've raised money, and you've raised money selling a certain story of growth and etc. So you cannot suddenly tomorrow say, you know what, I don't think this is right. But one of the things, Samir and I keep talking about this, is that today, because of the success of the business, I think I'm in a position to peer pressure people into doing some things, right? In the sense, if I come and say this very openly, I'm sure, if it's recorded, put out there, some of my competitors will listen to it. Now, can they, somehow not think about some of these things that I'm saying, So I think we can peer pressure, I think we were one of the first companies to do an ESOP buyback, and then we did it, and then there were like 30 other companies who did it, right? So like that, I think today, we have a influence on others, and one of the objectives of the Rainmatter Foundation also is that eventually, people will start asking questions, if Zerodha is doing this, why are you not doing this? So, that is one of the agendas of doing this as well.
So I'll get Samir in as well. I'm sorry, I kept you waiting. Besides creating wealth for people, Mr. Kamath is also touching millions of lives through his Rainmatter Foundation that he founded 2 years back. And it's doing work on climate. Samir is the CEO of that. Now, Samir, you're here for the last 2 years. First of all, what have your experiences besides climate that you're working right now? What all have you tried, and is climate really working right now? Because as we see, the social concerns of this country are so much on education, healthcare, and all that. Climate really doesn't get that kind of the focus, so as to say. So how would you put that?
So thanks Sandeep. Climate is a hyper complex problem, right? And it's in everything. There's no climate problem per se. It's in health, and it's in education and livelihoods. It's in our supply chains and businesses and stock exchanges and all of that, right? Like Nithin and I have this ongoing joke about, if this doesn't work, the stock exchange is dead, and if it works, the stock exchange is dead anyway, right? So I think it's a problem the size of the planet, literally. In 2022, we have realized that we are likely not staying below 2 degrees, right? So it's got failure rate all over it, right? So why would you pick it up? Why would you pick up something as audacious and stupid as that, right? I think, but it's the same thing, right? Like, see, what Nithin was describing was kind of an audacious goal. You want to become the biggest player in this while being right by the customer. It's a very simple principle, right? You apply it to everything you do, every thought you have, every design you do, but you keep doing that. Some of the outcomes will be failure, some of the outcomes will be success, right? That'll keep happening, right? But if you latch onto a set of principles and keep doing that, and I think it's the same thing with climate, because it's a super complex problem. It affects everything. It is by definition in the intersections, right? It needs civil society, governance, a lot of players with social capital, a lot of innovators, a lot of different people to come together. Can one foundation, can one set of people solve it? I don't think so. Can we start applying these principles, popularizing the ideas, talking to as many people as we can? I think that's what we can do right now. So that's what we're doing.
Nithin, what was the idea behind, going for climate? When there are so many, when we see CSR spends of companies, we see healthcare, education coming right on top. Why did you go for climate?
Yeah. So, see, the thing is, firstly, the idea of Rainmatter Foundation came when there was a lot of success as a business, right? And then, I mean, this has always bothered me about this whole concentration of wealth problem, and I somehow think it's only going to get worse with time, because I've realized how much more easier it is for me today to make money versus Nithin 10 years back, right? Because the opportunities are so much more. You can leverage on your capital so much more. So I think money will keep going away from the masses to the top, and I think if the people where the wealth is getting concentrated don't do enough, I don't know how this ends well. There's no good outcome, right? As in, eventually this will end bad. And again, right, if you think about it in long enough horizon, like, if you think about this like 20 years, 30 years from now, I mean, what's the point of all of this wealth if tomorrow there's a civil war somewhere, right? As in, if you can't walk on the street, what's the point? I mean, you're already seeing this in some cities and right around the world, right? So I think tomorrow the question will be asked of people who had the wealth and who had the wherewithal to do something when shit hits the fan tomorrow, right? And you have to be ready. I mean, so I don't want to be in a position 20 years from now where, say, my son comes to me and asks, Nithin, Dad, whatever, you had all the resources 20 years back when the world was going to dogs, and why didn't you do anything about it then, right? I mean, that's how the idea that we have to do something about this, this whatever wealth is getting concentrated should be used for the betterment of society in some way, is how it started. One of the triggers for this is also, like my life guru is, Kailash, who's our CTO, right? And, because I'm a trader, I started my whole life with wanting to buy a Porsche and, like a house with a swimming pool, I mean, that was my, like my driving ambition for 5-10 years of my life. But once Kailash joined and I, kind of hung around him, I started questioning about a lot of these things. And yeah, so the two problems that we could associate with, one was at Zerodha, right? One of the reasons we are so successful in terms of our profits and etc. is because we've grown very efficiently, right? So we were 1,100 people on the team when we were 1 million customers. We are 1,100 members on the team with 11 million customers, right? We have not had to hire people, right? Now the thing is, you would say amazing, right? As in, you made a lot of profits, but in my head, I'm thinking, what about all those jobs that potentially you could have created 10 years back if you were kind of running this business inefficiently? I don't know, it sounds weird, but yeah, but the thing is, I mean, these kind of questions started coming. So one was livelihood creation, right? And I think which is a big problem in this country. And then when we were thinking about it, we realized that if you're going to create jobs, how do you create jobs in this country, right? As in, where will the jobs come? And maybe, we said, maybe it has to be green in color. If you're creating more jobs, it should be. And then this whole idea of, climate change, livelihood came. I mean, it was all over the place. Then, one day I said, we can't keep thinking, we have to get our hands dirty. We found a restoration project in, there was this, 100-acre piece of land near Krishnagiri. We drove down one day and we said, what? Okay, I mean, the easiest thing, when someone says climate change is plant trees, right? As in grow a forest. I mean, everyone understands that, right? So, so a bunch of us went and we said, let's take this, let's buy this out, because someone was planning to turn it into one of those villa projects. We said, we cannot let that happen. So, and then Samir was running a campsite in that property. And that's really how we met, So, I mean, us, getting our hands dirty led to, Samir joining us, and then Samir helping us kind of define how this should be thought about, because we have full-time jobs. I mean, we are right now two-timing this, in the sense a bunch of us from Zerodha. So we said that we don't really have the bandwidth to do this. So yeah, from that original thesis, I mean, it's kind of evolved into something else today, and I think Samir will be the right person for that.
Samir, if I may ask you, are there a couple of ventures that you've funded or some projects that you've undertaken that are really proud of, that have taken off, or you think you haven't still been able to you've just scratched the surface and not have been able to do any meaningful work?
No, I think we are proud of all of them. I mean, people are doing some amazing work out there, right? And we are merely funding them. Right,
but are there specific some examples that you can?
There's Akshay Kalpa that we are involved in a big way, and what's happening at the farm is it's just amazing, right? It's also creating great livelihoods and great incomes at the village level, but the resilience at the farm, the resilience for the natural asset building at the farm itself, that's just amazing. Then there's many organizations like NCF working in conservation, people working in water, people working on restoration, large restoration projects in Maharashtra, sea trees around here. There's also people who are working on policy. There are people working on solutions, because like Nithin was saying, we need more green livelihoods, right? Our economy has to get more regenerative for solving this. It's not just going to come from a simple energy transition and a mobility transition, right? So we're trying to stitch all of this together, right? I think we have miles to go in that, right? So while we are very proud of, we are thankful to all the folks who are doing this out there, I think we have miles to go on this. I don't think we have started to crack this yet.
Can I seek permission from organizers to go on for 10 more minutes? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. And I'll take a couple of more questions, and then I'll open the floor for a couple of more from you. Now, on the CSR bit, I wanted to ask, India Inc. has been, because of the mandatory rules that are there, that 2% of the profits that they have to contribute, over the last 7 years, almost 1 lakh crore has been spent by India Inc. In fact, in 2020-21, it was around 25,000 crore. Do you see the impact of all that money, or despite spending, we are failing? If you can.
No, yes, Samir is going to answer that.
All right. So I think the so I'm speaking from a climate lens largely. I've also,
but also given that you are in that sphere,
yeah.
Do you see enough work is happening? All that money is being spent. Are we seeing the impact of that?
Yeah, climate has started to become important for CSR and philanthropy over the last year, especially as world events have caught up and made it headlines all the time. But even generally, I think intersectional thinking is coming into play a lot more today. You hear about it a lot more. Earlier, it was very siloed, saying I'm doing health, or I'm doing livelihoods, or I'm doing X or Y or Z. People are at least paying some lip service to the idea of intersections today, right? That's happening. The discussions are happening. I think the effectiveness will grow, because today you can spend on energy and worsen water. You can spend on income and actually worsen livelihoods and worsen, the health numbers for any place. So like somebody asked us, what happens to the place when you fix one variable and destroy three others? What are you doing to the place? Right? So that holistic approach, or a slightly more holistic approach to problem solving, I think that question is setting in. The systems thinking for that has become a little bit of a buzzword, but I think the tools are coming into play. And I think and you're also starting to see some collaboration in the Indian philanthropy and CSR space. So as this starts to happen more, the quality of the problem solving will improve dramatically. And it's sad I have to say it, but that climate is a great way to bring this together, because it cuts across almost everything that we see.
Nithin, your thoughts on that? No, you don't want to touch
No, see, the thing is,
when you see around, just look at Bangalore lakes.
Right.
Why should it become national news every year?
Right. Yeah, no, you're getting me. No, I haven't really tried to map out if all the money has gone to the right places. No, I haven't thought through. Now that you've spoken about it, I'll think about it. But yeah, somehow it seems like the impact isn't there. But the thing is, you're talking a problem of 150 crore people. Like 1 lakh crores, maybe not enough to even impact 150 crore people, right? As in,
no, that's what. Are you seeing, at least of that, are we seeing that, is it happening the way?
No, that's what. So the thing is, I think to solve India's problem, you probably need a lot more money, right? 1 lakh crore rupees is probably enough for a country with 10 million population, and maybe not 1.5. I'm talking like a businessman, right? I'm not, I'm saying if 150 crore people are there and there is 1 lakh crores, I mean, I don't know. I mean, incrementally, I don't know how much you can use that much money to create a difference in 150 crore people's life. Maybe it's not enough. Or maybe it's not really going to the right places. I really, I don't have an answer to this because I haven't really thought about this.
Recently, one more trend has started that we see earlier companies used to take the project and execute it like you are doing through your foundation. Now people are giving the money to PM Cares Fund and they're just saying, okay. Now, how do you see that sort of, because then if you aspire to do something to bring a meaningful impact or change in, say, society or to the city that you belong to, if you don't get your hands dirty into it, then.
See, the thing is, we were coincidentally discussing on something similar lines. So I think, I know a lot of my friends who are entrepreneurs who've done well and who have an intent to give back and or give forward or invest for the future, right? But I think there is like a trust barrier, right? And so whatever mandatory is required, they'll go do it. I think wherever is the most trust that lies, right? And maybe it's the question is also for the other side is saying is the social sector doing enough to build trust amongst entrepreneurs to allocate capital to them, right? Because I can tell you that a lot of new wealth, at least in Bangalore, a lot of these people are willing to go ahead and like people like me at some point we said we need to get our hands dirty and we can't allocate money without knowing what we're doing, right? But not everyone has the time, bandwidth, resources to be able to get their hands dirty, right? So they will really do what is the easiest thing to do, which is to allocate money to someone else. And amongst allocating to someone else, the most trusted is government. I mean, like if I want to keep my money in the safest place, I'll go buy tax-free bonds. I mean, I will not, or I'll buy government securities. I wouldn't even go put it in HDFC Bank or whatever, right? So it's like that, So I think a lot more has to be done for the social sector to kind of garner trust, because I think capital will flow if that were to happen.
I can take a couple of questions if, yeah, okay.
Thank you. My question might be a little naive, so excuse me. You guys work on climate and you'll want to set up new green jobs. But the new green jobs makes me a little uncomfortable in itself. You come from an old industry that's bringing in money into a new industry. When will the old industry itself change to become more green? And do you think it's like this? And are there two different worlds or are we in one world?
No, I mean, I think, like I said, I have more questions in my life than answers right now. So, see, the thing is, as a business, wherever we've had an opportunity to go green, we've done it. Like, when COVID happened, I think the first thing we realized is that, the problem is, we never thought that work from home ever can work, right? But as soon as we realized work from home works, we decided we should go permanent work from home, right? Because we said, these, out of 1,100 people, like 800 people are outside Bangalore, right? So there are 800 families lesser choking the city, right? And these people are now in smaller towns and villages, and they're creating economies out there. So in my head, I think it's a greener job. I mean, is it green? I don't know, right? But the fact that they're probably consuming much lesser than what they would in a city like Bangalore, they're probably creating an economy around them, and probably their quality of life also has gone up, right? So yes, I think like, for example, we can really do whatever we can. Now, newer green jobs, I don't know. Like I said, we are trying to support a bunch of causes. We are trying to learn along the way. I don't know if I have the answers. I know, Samir, if you have anything around.
Yeah, so it's like you're born into a network of current functions and roles and, things around you. We are sitting in a very well-lit auditorium with central air conditioning on a nice cool day in Bangalore, right? We make all these trade-offs. You're going to use coal to find your way to renewables, right? So there's a path. I think if we can imagine a new network and keep chipping away at it at some scale, the main thing is it has to start mainstreaming. So the government comes in a big way over there, right? So I don't think it's a hard binary. Yes, we have to get rid of the old world, of the current old world, right? Have we imagined the new world? Are we moving fast enough to get there at scale for my and his kids to have enough tools to deploy when we are gone? I think those are questions. I mean, we don't have answers to, but we're hoping we'll get there.
Question from there, yeah.
Hello. Yeah, Namaskar. I'm Satya from Odisha. My question is that actually with the regards to the CSR fund, lastly you were sharing, we have seen in Odisha because with the FC fund earlier it was coming, we have seen near about 10,000 crores something. But now the CSR fund has a heavy. But as in Odisha also we are looking, most of the CSR fund are utilized in urban development. Even if they are imposed by the government, different departments, and they're using it. Instead of rural development, specifically for the tribals and all things, we should go forward actually to the, even if it through the civil society organizations, but which is not going actually properly. And so this is the big challenge actually, because what is your view on this actually? But CSR fund is heavy, like more than 20,000 crores. So which can be, the rural can be developed very better way.
Thank you for your views. Yeah. Anything?
I mean, you're right. I mean, there is a wonkiness to, even in aspirational districts, apparently only 6 of the, all the aspirational districts get over half the funding. So it's not well distributed. And we are working with think tanks and partners who are trying to address this. We're working with people who are trying to work with CSR. I mean, our interest is to, of course, bias them towards being pro-biodiversity, pro-climate in all their interventions, right? But as part of this, these problems do come up, yes.
Okay, we'll squeeze in one last question, yeah, please.
Hi, this is actually for both of you. Nithin, as you look back with growing Zerodha, if there was something that you wish you had done entirely differently, what would that be? And then even with setting up the foundation, right? I know it's a young foundation, but are there things that you look back that you think you would have thought about differently or done differently? And can you tell us about that?
So yeah, no, I think, I think about quite a bit, saying, if I go back in time, what will I change? I don't think I'll change anything because, I've just been so lucky so many times that any small change, I think I'll not be here today. So I'm almost fearful about that. So yes, I mean, I think we've made mistakes, etc. But if we had not made mistakes, I don't think we would have taken actions that we did. So I can't I keep thinking about it, like what will I change? I think about going back to school, in my 10th standard, if I had studied well for my maths exam, with my mom. But I don't think I would be here. I would have probably done engineering from a good college and then gone become something else. So I can't really think of what I could have done differently.
I think it's the same for the foundation. I mean, I think it's a common DNA in everything Zerodha touches now. It's about foundational principles. I mean, if you can get too weighed by trying to measure it as failure and success, or success as well, because we are sometimes too eager to define success. So the joke is that assume that you have only 3 years to go and you're dead after that. Right, so plan for 3 years. Have a 20-year vision, as he was describing, for the customers as well. But plan your actions for 3 years. Don't assume you're going to be around for 3 years. So don't get too hung up on success or failure. Arrive at a decent set of principles that you can keep working with on a continuous set and evolve. We are in the middle of a fairly large rethink and redo structurally and organizationally. But that's what you wake up and do on any given morning.
Okay, I know there are many more questions, but I think you can address to him, them directly to him. With that, we bring this session.
One last question, 2 last.
So you can ask after he's around.
Speak over tea.
He's around. We won't let him go, so you can ask him your questions. Yeah. Thank you so much for the. Let's now go on to the next session. Yeah. Thank you so much.